Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at a topic that faces, I think, most motion rig owners and sim rig owners sooner or later, and that is having built your motion platform, how do you move it should you need to move it? In my case, I put the base in the room that you see in front of you here, probably just before Christmas, before I started installing the heavier parts like gearboxes and motors, servo drivers, and the rest of the steel that makes up the Stuart platform that does the movement. And that's before we even start talking about putting the aluminium profile, the sim rig and the seats and joysticks and things on top of that. And I had to do that at the time because that was basically the limit of weight that I could physically move the base, without all those additional parts installed. But now it's complete. I don't know how much this thing weighs. I would guess somewhere in the region of 300 kilograms, something like that, and that is not something that you can easily move. And what are the solutions for that? So let's take a look at that now. So for sim rigs, you often get options to buy what's known as caster wheels and brakes. This is the offering from GT Omega here, who make the sim rig that I've got bolted to the top of my motion platform myself. You can buy aftermarket ones as well, and the idea is pretty straightforward. You just bolt it onto the aluminium profile, and off you go, and that's fine for sim rigs which tend to be lighter and carry less weight, because of course they're not they don't have the motors and the actuators on them, as well as a host of other parts and metalwork and frames. If you've got, for example, one of the lighter motion platforms like a DOF Reality, they produce, by the looks of it, things called transportation wheels. So I'm guessing these are temporarily added to your rig, and then you kind of lift it up at one end and can wheel it along. So it says here these are suitable for the H3 and P3 platforms. So these are the 3 degrees of freedom platforms that DOF Reality do. If you want to know more about DOF Reality, I recommend you go and see Mark at Get Your Game On. He's very well acquainted with all their different product lines, and that's fine for those solutions. But for heavier servo actuator type solutions, you're going to need something a little bit more substantial. And the recommendation that I was given via various members on Discord is the use of something known as a Dolly set. You can see an example here on eBay, and the idea is that you have these skates. I think they're called dollies and skates, depending on which region you come from. That you place the weight of your furniture, your sim rig on. You lever up the base unit to place them on these devices, and are then able to move them more easily. Now, this one that we're looking at here is it's very cheap, by the way, at almost £14. The issue with these for me is that the casters, the wheels that you can see there, are quite small, which I think is fine for flat hardwood surfaces, but not great for carpets. I'm going to need, I think, something with much bigger wheels. So in my case, what I've done is opted for these skates from basically a Chinese manufacturer. They sell them in the UK. This set came from eBay, cost me just over £100. So what's that? 17 pounds plus per skate with an eBay discount. They typically retail for about £22. There's also some sellers on there asking like 70 plus pounds for just one skates. But that's eBay for you. I'm afraid. And these are rated apparently for up to 6 tons. So you know, like really heavy machinery and things like that. And of course, I don't need to stress these skates to anything like that amount of weight for, you know, for my motion rig. As I say, I would estimate it's, you know, in the 300 kilogram kind of region. But the important thing is that they've got much bigger wheels, which, as you can see, I have a carpeted room where I've got the motion rig installed. So in order to be safe, in order to carry that heavy weights, I think these are the right solution, or this is the right solution for me. And we're going to give it a go. The downside to these skates and dollies is, well, they weigh probably about 8 kilos, 9 kilos each. They sit about 4 inches off the floor, so I'm going to have to lift each of those 6 arms of the motion platform. You can see there with the, you know, the static casters on the carpet, up to a height of about 4 inches in order to slide one of these under. The tops, the black circular top on those skates, you see, they can rotate 360 degrees. I think there's like a double ball bearing underneath those. The wheels themselves do not rotate in a sort of clockwise direction. They'll go forwards and backwards, if that makes sense. But because they're made of, I guess, some sort of, you know, nylon or plastic that's you know, very very dense, they tend to skid across the surface of the carpet quite easily, so that they can move from side to side. Let me show you the manual quickly, and then you get a better idea of what we're looking at here. Yeah, here you can see the manual. I believe I've got these 60 models. Wheel type PU, so that's polyurethane. The metalwork is carbon steel, so toughened steel there. If we just have a look at the, I don't have the swivel roller. I didn't feel that was necessary in my case, and yeah, you get the basic idea here. So you, in my case, it'll be more this sort of configuration where I'll have 6 at the 6 corners of the legs of my sim rig, and I'll be, you know, pushing the Stewart platform, the metal work that's firmly attached to the base. I don't believe I'm going to need these you know, these directional rollers, but what I will need to do is fix the rollers in, broadly speaking, the direction that I want to travel. So yeah, you can see here, you know, if I want to set off in a certain direction, when I put the skates underneath the sim rig, the motion rig I should say, I should really try and get them as close to the direction of travel I want to, because then that'll just be easier, and I won't be having to, you know, to push the skates around. If we have a closer look at, let's just pick an individual skate here. So yeah, as you see, the top rotates around 360 degrees, very solidly built. Yeah, not much more to it than that. As I say, there's four rollers. They do larger ones, which have 6, 8, or even more, designed for greater loads. But I think this is already over spec'd for the work that I want it to do on my sim rig. So let's try and get some of these skates under the rig and try and move it, see what happens. Right, so if you're wondering how I'm lifting the rig up, it's basically a combination of using this this braking bar here, a car jack, and a block of wood to kind of brace it and lift it up in stages. So we're almost at the right height for this this one here, and then of course once I get the dolly and the skate under the first leg, it'll be a lot easier getting it under the second, and as you can imagine, as you start going round, I'm a little bit out of breath, partly because I'm not the fittest person in the world, admittedly, but also I tried, you know, just lifting one edge of the motion rig up with the braking bar, and I couldn't do it. I'm not physically strong enough, which is why I got my kind of car jack tyre jack out of the car to help me, and yeah, it's yeah, as you can see here, quite comfortably taking that load. It's, you know, obviously less than the weight of the car. In fact, I think we might have our, yes, indeed we do. We have our first dolly and skates in position there. So I'm going to want the rig to be moving out that way. So I'm just going to line the skates up there, and I will lower the platform down onto that skate. Now, I suggest when you do this, you don't have any kind of pets and animals around. The weight of this is such, not that it would simply break your foot, but it would possibly sever a toe or worse. So, you know, treat this with the respect it deserves. Right, let's see if we can fit another skate under there straight away. That would be handy if we can. Not quite, but close. So I just need to lift that up a little bit more and get the second skate on. Right, so I'm just going to go around and install the other skates in exactly the same way, and I will see you in a second. There you go. If you're curious, I'm going around in a anti-clockwise way, lifting up the leg next to the, or adjacent to the skate that I want to install. So that's the second one in. That only took literally just a couple of minutes there to jack it up, you know, a couple of centimeters, 1 inch, and as you see, that one's a decent height as well. So we'll jack up the one in the background there, the leg in the background, and get the other skates installed. Back in a sec. Okay, I've managed to get my skates on, as the saying goes, all 6 installed underneath the feet there. Honestly, I would say the first 2 or 3 were the hardest ones to do, and then, you know, as the motion rig, the base starts to naturally lift up, the others become easier, and then actually you can use the car jack to go underneath the structure of the base itself and the legs. You know, there's enough room and gap to get under there, so you're able to lift it to a greater height. Okay, right, with the skates aligned, let's see if we can move it. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is go around to the back of the motion rig and try and push it. And what I'll do is I'll use the back pass of the, you know, this profile sim rig section here, so something nice and solid. I don't really want to be pushing and putting load on the chairs, the chair, because then of course that will just go through the, you know, the fittings and the bolts that the chair goes through, attaching it to, you know, to the motion rig. I need something solid, so either this part of the sim rig or an area of the base or the Stewart platform that the sim rig section actually sits on. So let's give it a go. And it works, yes, fantastic. Very happy about that. So to give you some idea, I would say I'm using the amount of force that you would use if you were moving like a double fridge freezer, an American fridge freezer that's obviously on casters and usually on a flat surface and things like that. So not crazy amounts of force, but Yeah, more than say, pushing like a sofa or anything like that. So there we have it, a solution as to how you can move a very heavy motion platform, and obviously removing the skates is just the reverse with the car jack, probably even easier actually. Maybe using some wooden blocks as supports there. Comes at an interesting time. You might have seen some other creators dealing with motion platforms. They're also doing some motion rig upgrades themselves, so it'll be interesting to see how they've solved these particular problems, or whether they've been able to attach wheels directly to their own motion rigs. So give me a thumbs up if you like that, if it's useful. If you've got any questions, then feel free to ask. But yeah, I'm really happy with that solution. I feel that that's very stable, and that I could even get on the seat of the sim rig and it would still feel good. I wouldn't want to drive the sim rig in this current configuration, not least because of course it's now 4 inches further off the floor, and as I've covered in previous videos, I've got quite a low ceiling in this part of the house where I've got it installed, so that's no good. Likewise, I wouldn't want to trust the power and the motion that comes from the rotary actuators. They're very powerful motors and gearboxes, so the ability for the rig to move I think would be quite high. So even if there were brakes attached to this, unless they were somehow, those skates were excuse me, bolted to the legs, I don't think that would be a safe option. So yeah, just for moving it where I want it to, and then to put it back into position and drop it back onto the floor again. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you on the next one.